most popular questions I get from blues guitarists is how to add vibrato to their bends. And I can totally see why. When you combine vibrato and bending together, you're taking two techniques and you're really getting more out of each of them and creating something that's totally special that wouldn't happen if you just took one of those ideas by themselves. It's like in Portugal, this beautiful country in which I live. You take the traditional Portuguese custard tart, the pastel de nata, you take a little cinnamon, sprinkle that on top, you're taking two ingredients and turning them into something magical through their combination. Maravilhoso. Now, enough with that tomfoolery. Let's break down how to add vibrato to your bends in 3 simple steps. Now, this is one of those classic blues guitar things where the principles here are extremely straightforward, and you're probably going to be looking at me during this video like, okay, that's incredibly obvious. But stick with me and be patient because these are easy principles to understand. They are difficult to apply. So keep that in mind as you are going through this lesson. Anyway, with that caveat out of the way, let's dive into it and look at step number 1. Step number 1. Before you think about adding vibrato to your bends, you've got to nail your vibrato. Captain Obvious to the rescue! But jokes aside, that might sound incredibly obvious, but in my experience, most blues guitarists think about vibrato just as string movement, which it is. You are moving the string to alter its pitch slightly. But if you want to create a killer vibrato, and you want to be able to add that vibrato to bends, you have to be able to control the 2 key parameters of vibrato all over the fretboard in different positions. So what are those 2 key parameters? Number 1, nice and straightforward, is speed. How fast are you moving the string? Now, that opening solo I played was from, well, the song The Hunter, originally performed by Albert King, but then covered by Free, the British blues rock band Free, and I was doing the kind of Free version because Paul Kossoff, I think, has the greatest vibrato of any of the sort of British blues rock or even blues rock players of all time. It's incredible. Go and check him out if you're not so familiar with his stuff. So we're going to be up in the key of A minor, up in this kind of 4th position of the pentatonic scale. And speed is just nice and straightforward. How quick are you moving the string? Fast vibrato. And then slow vibrato. Nice and straightforward. And then the other parameter that we've got is width. So how much are you moving the string? This one I think people tend to think about a little bit less, but it's equally straightforward. Wide vibrato, you're moving the string a lot. And it's almost a little bit more like a bend. And then shallow vibrato, you're really not moving the string very much at all. And obviously you can combine these 2 parameters together to create vibratos of different styles. So you can have a wide and fast vibrato, which creates a very intense, aggressive feel, kind of like what I did in that opening solo. Or you can have a very shallow, slow vibrato. Where you're really just adding a little flavor to the note, but it's much, much more subtle. And of course, you can mix those parameters up in a whole load of different ways to create, you know, a wide but shallow, a wide but slow vibrato, a fast but shallow vibrato, and anywhere across that spectrum. But that is step number 1. You need to be able to target your vibrato intentionally, think about those parameters, alter them to create different styles of vibrato, and to be able to control it. So if you say, hey, I'm going to do a shallow but fast vibrato, that's what should come out of your fingers, not something different. You have to be intentional and be the one in control, moving beyond just thinking about string movement and instead the specific type of vibrato you want to create, and you should be able to do that all over the fretboard because although we're up in this kind of 4th pentatonic shape here, we want to be able to do the same thing down here. So, step 1, before you think about even continuing through this video and going to step 2 and step 3 is get control of your vibrato, practice it all over the fretboard, and get really comfortable and have a lot of fun experimenting with those different parameters, creating different feels, and getting intentional with the kind of vibrato you are trying to create. Step 2 is all about building your stamina. Now, vibrato and bending, you're going to be applying vibrato to your bends when the bends are held for a certain period of time. If a bend is extremely quick, there's actually no time to add vibrato to anything. So you're only going to be adding vibrato when the bend is sustained for a decent chunk of time. Now, what does that mean? That means that you need to be able to hit a bend, hold it to pitch, and hold it to pitch without any slippage in that pitch. A little bit like this. Just think about that classic Gary Moore clip where he hits that bend on Parisian walkways and just holds it for like 30 seconds ringing out. Absolutely unbelievable stuff. That's the skill that you need to be able to develop and apply that all over the fretboard. So not just in this fourth position, second, first, fifth, wherever you are. Because if you have any slippage, then you're going to be applying vibrato to something that is out of tune. So it's not really going to sound great. So you have to be really, really rock solid on. The bend goes up. And you don't want any of that. Now, if you struggle with that, check out the video I've linked in the description, 5 mistakes killing your blues bending, because it's all about the technique of bending, the technicalities that will help you make sure that you're actually able to hold a bend to pitch. So if you think that's not happening, go and check that out. But step 2 is get really comfortable, put a slow blues track on, hit some long bends, let them sustain, and just focus on making sure that they're really, really solid, exactly at pitch, and that you feel comfortable doing it. Because if you don't feel comfortable, you can hold them at pitch, but it's a bit, then there's no way you're going to be able to apply vibrato on top of that, because we're trying to combine 2 subtle, difficult things together. So, be patient again, take your time, and make sure that you can do that in various different positions on the fretboard. And when you can, head over to step number 3, where we're going to take these 2 ideas, combine them together, and that is where the magic happens. See you over there. And step number 3, this is where all the good stuff happens. We're combining vibrato and bending together. Now, this is a kind of a 2-step process and 2 important things for you to think about. Step number 1 is that the vibrato you are applying is on top of the bend. So if I bend up, again in that 4th position, and I bend up to pitch, I'm just going to hold it there for a second, the vibrato is applied on top of that bend. So my fingers are going up beyond where the bend was. So if the bend is here, then the vibrato goes on top of the bend. If that doesn't happen, and this is where people always go wrong, and they bend up to pitch, but then they try and apply the vibrato sort of beneath it, then you get that horrible thing where it sounds like a singer out of tune. You get this. It's not the same. You've missed the note that you were trying to go to, so it just sounds weird. So that's the first thing you have to think about. It's about bending up to a certain point, and then the vibrato is applied above that point. The way to make this happen practically is to do what I was doing there, which is break the process down into 2 steps. Step number 1, bend up. And then step number 2, apply the vibrato after that. To begin with, do it very deliberately. So there's like a pause. Bend, pause, vibrato. And that will help you to very consciously see those two elements and get comfortable with the mechanics of what you're doing. Because this is all mechanics, and it's fine mechanics, it's fine movements, which is what makes it complicated. As you then get more comfortable, you can start to bring down the time between the bend and the vibrato. So that eventually it's just bend and vibrato happening as one. But to begin with, be super, super intentional and break those two bits down consciously so you are comfortable with each element of what you're doing. Is pretty much it, guys. Take those 3 steps, work on them, be patient on them. And the really cool thing about this is just don't carve out, hours and hours of your practice to kind of, right, first the bend, then the vibrato. Just take some kind of slow blues songs, or not even blues, just wherever there's bending and it's expressive and it's slow. Take some of those songs, practice them, work on them. Anything by Peter Green's can be amazing. Need Your Love So Bad, Black Magic Woman, he's, very slow, kind of leaves a lot of space in his playing. B.B. King, Thrill Is Gone, would be an amazing choice. Paul Kossoff of Free leaves a lot of space in his playing. The Hunter would be a great choice. And even stuff like Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Obviously not classic blues, but you think about that intro where Dave Gilmour's really taking his time on those bends and just hitting them and adding that vibrato. It would be a wonderful way of bringing up this technique. And that is important because these sorts of things, combining vibrato and bending, that's what allows someone like B.B. King to play 3 notes and it sounds like a choir of angels singing from above. These are the little touches that make simple pentatonic licks sound incredible. So don't overlook it, practice it, give it a go. If you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, let me know below in the comments. Good luck, guys, and I will see you next time.